Hey, this is James. Happy Mother's Day. Today is the day that we pause and we honor our physical mothers. I know that I certainly want to do that. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I hope you're watching. Now that we've done that, I'd like to ask us to take it a step further, broaden our perspective a bit, and think about today being the day to also honor the feminine principle in ourselves as well as in our universe. What does that mean? Well, in every great tradition, including science, there is both a masculine and a feminine principle. The masculine principle in science, for instance, is the positron, which has a positive charge, and the feminine is the electron, which has a negative charge. Now, let's think about negative in a different way because we've labeled that as something bad, and maybe we should call it receptive. So active and receptive is a better descriptor. In spiritual traditions, the same is true as well. You know, why is it that we call nature itself Mother Nature, right? Because the feminine principle is the principle that is nurturing, it's supportive, and it also brings things into form, hence Mother Nature. The masculine principle is more energetic, more active, but it doesn't bring things into form. Now, in our forgetting of these two principles, which are both equal and equivalent and both necessary. And what do I mean by forgetting? Well, in many ways, our political and spiritual religious systems have been very male dominated. And as a result, we've lost our feminine principle. Does that make sense to you? You know, we have Father God, but there's also Mother Earth. And, you know, in our prayer, what we tend to do is be very masculine, if you will. Always asking, 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 asking. That's activity. Telling, maybe pleading, depending on where you are in your life. But you see, if we never stop and pause and become receptive and listen, then we're not exercising our own feminine principle. You follow me? So there has to be a harmony of both. And mastery is about harmonizing both the masculine and the feminine. And so I'm going to ask you to think about how you can do that today on this day of honoring the feminine. Now, the feminine is not all soft and cushy either. It's also sometimes very harsh. Think about the goddess Kali, and this is where I think in the East they have it most correctly, in my opinion. The goddess Kali, have you ever seen her in the Hindu tradition? She's got big fangs, and there's blood dripping, and there's skulls around her neck, and you think, oh my God, that's the goddess? Well, the metaphor is that anything that comes into form, which comes through the feminine principle, the womb of the feminine principle, if you will, must also do what? It must also go out of form, because the masculine principle is formless. It's spirit. It's pure energy itself, and it's always moving and dynamic. And so anything that comes into form must also be transitory, must also leave, and that's kind of harsh sometimes. It's hard for us to let go, isn't it? We build a business and it's going to change. We build a relationship, it's going to change. Anything in the physical form is temporal, meaning time-bound, and it's also temporary. So there's lots of things to think about on this special day. And I'd like to encourage you, particularly if you're on Facebook, to post below, how is this feminine principle playing out for you right now? How has it played out in the last year in your life since Mother's Day last year? Because it's always in motion. And to the degree we deny that in ourselves, we really lose half of our power. We got to step back. We have to not only exercise the mind, but we have to let it relax. We have to be receptive. We have to listen. And that's where true creativity, innovation, and resourcefulness comes in. It's through that feminine principle, and it's through that receptive principle that something grander and greater and bigger is able to work through us. A couple things to think about. Thanks for joining. Stay awake and love life.